Guys, this weekend at UFC 291, a new BMF will be crowned, and my partners at DraftKings are offering an incredible deal for all new customers who sign up using the promo code SONNEN. New customers, bet just $5 on any of this weekend's fights and receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. You can even use your bonus bets on DraftKings same fight parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same fight, including number of rounds and method of victory. Remember, DraftKings is the only place where you can bet same fight parlays. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. So click on the link below and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Remember, new customers, use the code SONNEN and bet just $5 on any wager to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings. I would never call for somebody's retirement. At least I think that about myself. Because you're talking about not only the end of a career, but it changes their identity. It's a very hard thing. Now, everybody's going to have to go through it. I'm just saying it's not my place to call for or say when. You're also talking about making them unemployed. Right? If you have a professional fighter and you tell him he's not going to fight anymore, you just made him unemployed. Like, it's a rude thing to do, quite frankly. And it's something that's just, it's somebody else's decision. And you hope that it would be theirs. But you do have athletes that never see that light. And somebody else has to come in and make that decision for them. I don't want Tony Ferguson to be done. Tony Ferguson is great. It's between Tony Ferguson and Gilbert Melendez for the hardest working MMA athlete I've ever seen. Tony's getting ready to fight Bobby Green. And Tony's lost 5 in a row. I don't care about that. When you look at the level of competition that he fought, I don't care about that. I'm just sharing with you it is relevant. The relevance is this. Most contracts are 3-fight deals. If you have a loss, they can cut you. If you have 2 losses in a row, they're going to cut you. If you're on that first 3-fight deal, meaning 2 of the 3 didn't go well, you're going to be gone. If you're a veteran, if you're a draw, if you move the needle, if you're fighting only on main cards, your next contract could be bigger. You could do a 5-fight deal, would be very standard. Now, very few guys have signed 8-fight deals. I have never heard of a contract that was more than 8 fights. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just trying to talk standard with you so that you understand this point, okay? If you're on a losing streak, you don't get re-signed. And what I mean by that is there is a number of guys, let's say they have a 5-fight deal, they'll do 1 or 2 fights, right? There's a number of fights left. Real standard if you're getting re-signed is when you have 1 left, so we know what to do with you. We know if we got you. We know if there's a return on the investment. There's some real important business decisions when you have 1 fight left. There are certain guys that will shine. Israel Adesanya just comes to mind, where they got him for 5 more fights. Forget all that. Let's bring you in. First off, we're not paying you enough. Second, we need to have you locked up a little bit longer. We've got a long-term plan for you. What do you think? And then they both talk, and everybody agreed in that specific case. You sign the deal. But I do want to make this point for you. That was Izzy winning, right? You got a 5-fight deal, let's say, and you win the first 2. And all of a sudden, you're turning some heads. You're coming from the undercard to the main card. You got a 5-fight deal, and you lose the first 2. There is no scenario and there's no example in the history of the sport that you could give me where they come, hey, you know what, let's re-sign. That always comes with more money. Always. That always comes with more fight. Always. Well, they're not looking to do that if you've lost a couple. So, I don't know where Tony's contract is at. But I know if it's been 5, okay, I know nowhere along that way would they come in and re-sign him. So this will now be number 6. So I would have a question without having knowledge. This is the evidence that I have. I would have the question without having knowledge. Is this the last fight on his contract? Are they allowing him to fight out his contract? Let me give you a different scenario. Tony goes out there and wins, of which he most definitely could do. I am by no means writing off Tony Ferguson. I'm sharing for you, if he goes out there and wins, do they then just give him another fight? Is it the last one on his contract and that's not even an option? Does he have a 7-fight deal? And they will give him that other match. The point that I'm trying to get at while I'm dancing around is this could be Tony's last fight. And I don't have a problem if he goes out there and wins and calls it his last fight. I don't think that you guys do either. That's just a very uncommon thing for an athlete to do. They will generally get as absolute many as they can. It's very tough to imagine that in a situation with 5 losses that someone is still a feature match. But he is. That's a compliment to Tony. When Tony hears this, I hope he understands that. That's a compliment to Tony. That means there's an understanding of the courage that it showed and the competition that he took on and the willingness that he did it and the preparation that he went through and came out and was professional the entire time. It's a compliment. If he was to lose to Bobby Green, it's tough to imagine just by the numbers, right? And where would it be? Could you imagine it on a pay-per-view? If you do, could you imagine? I'm talking about a loss here. I mean, we're looking at both sides of this, and then we're 6 in a row. We're talking about a loss here. Could you imagine he returns to a pay-per-view? If he does, could you imagine that it was a feature match? So now you got Tony Ferguson. He's jerking the curtain. I mean, this is one of the great needle movers. This is the guy that was going to go to New York City, sell out an arena at the Barclays versus Khabib. I think that's just a stretch. And if he was to have a victory, and he could go out on top, like so few do, would he? And if he would, is it by his own choice, or is it because his contract's up? I mean, how big's that contract, right? We know about 5 of them, and now we know about this is number 6. Does he have a 7-fight deal? Is he one of those crazy guys that had an 8-fight deal? Maybe I don't have enough information here. I'm just sharing for you that you never know when the end comes. I mean, right? There could be somebody else on the card, not even mentioned. It could be Bobby Green for all that we know. I'm just choosing to address Tony because it's a very interesting fight. Tony versus Bobby, this is one of the star fights of the card. This is matchmaking at its finest. I don't know who the favorite is. I was over at DraftKings and I saw it, but now I can't recall. I'm just sharing with you, if Tony was to win and he went out on top, that would be pretty cool. If he was to lose, it could be the last time that we see Tony Ferguson in the octagon. And for somebody with a career like that, he's owed something. He's owed our respect. He's owed our attention. He's owed our appreciation. I think he has all of those things. But to really be able to embrace something and to savor something, sometimes it's helpful to know that it is the last time. I don't know the spot that he's in, but I know there's pressure in that. And I know none of the thoughts that I just said, well, I might be the first one that said in public, I didn't say anything that hasn't gone through his mind. And as we get to the press conference days of fight week, this question might come up. I'll be curious. I'll be curious what Tony's answer is.